Hello and welcome to this week's Different League show sponsored by Betfred. So Boris wants football to come home with the World Cup in 2030. He's also offered the whole of the Euros to host as well this summer. In terms of the Premier League, City just keep on winning. Title pretty much theirs, you would have thought, wouldn't you? But look, I mean, how many teams are there in with a shout of a Champions League place? Aston Villa have no chance. Gabby Agbonlahor alongside Mark and myself. Gabby, how are you? Busy?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you guys?
Very well indeed, thank you. I mean, look, we'll come on to the Champions League in just a bit. I'm fascinated to hear what you got to say about Villa, though. First of all, though, Mark, are we going to have the World Cup in 2030, the UK and Ireland? And what do you think the chances are of hosting the whole of the Euros this summer in the UK?
First of all, on the Euro front, I mean, I would be very surprised if it took place as it's supposed to, with all of 12 different cities. Whether that becomes one host nation or United Kingdom based sort of tournament, or UK and Ireland, maybe that would be one option. But there still might be other European cities that fancy it. But I don't see. I think it'd be really difficult for all 12. To stage it in the current climate. In terms of 2030, I mean, there's always been a suggestion that it will go to South America in sort of the centenary year to sort of Uruguay.
Don't say that. Yeah, it was 1930 in Uruguay, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, the cynic would say, oh, this is sort of politicians' way of sort of deflecting and sort of from what's going on in the real world, if you like. But it gets me excited. I mean, the potential of a World Cup in the UK and Ireland. Would be something to really look forward to and enjoy and embrace if we could get it.
It would be absolutely incredible, wouldn't it? I mean, we're already going to host quite a few games for the Euros. What would it mean for the country, UK and Ireland, to host the World Cup, but also the UK with the Euros? And actually, would it help? I mean, the most importantly, would it help us winning the tournament?
I think 100%. I think if we could have the Euros every game here, I think imagine the excitement, like the weather starts getting better. England's squad's amazing at the moment. There's so many players that are playing at the top of their game, and we've got a real chance of winning the Euros. I know the semi-final and final are in Wembley, is that right?
It is.
But the other games, just to have them in England, and there's a good chance of fans being able to go and watch them. I think it'd be good for the country, especially what everyone's been through over the last year.
We've got our group games in England as well. That's the least, but I agree with you. It's not going to be in its what they wanted, UEFA. It's going to be fascinating to see how many cities or how many countries are able to do it. All to play for. See where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Top four.
Yeah.
I think we're
not impressed. He's not impressed with your pun.
I'm not impressed. No, the last time I'm going to use someone else's pun, actually, because it's the way you tell them, isn't it? Look, I mean, Premier League trophy, we're saying it's City's 15 points ahead. So let's talk top four then. How many teams, how far down do we go? United are second on 50 points. Villa on 9th, 6 points off 4th, but as we speak have 2 games in hand. Yeah. What about Arsenal in 10th? 8 points, no games in hand with 12 games left. So how far do we go down here?
I think you've got to look at Arsenal, and they've had some recent good results, but you've got to probably cut them off. I think Arsenal, Spurs, I'll even say Aston Villa, not for 4th, but maybe for 6th. I think the top 4 will finish with Manchester City top, Man United 2nd, and I think it will finish Leicester 3rd. And I'm going to go with Everton over Chelsea 4th.
No Chelsea or Liverpool then?
No, I'm not going to go Chelsea, Liverpool.
Why not?
I think Chelsea, I've been watching a bit of them. They're not conceding many goals, but he hasn't really found out his right attacking free, has he, at the moment? And Liverpool, they've had some bad results recently, and they wasn't great against Sheffield United either. But for me, I think Everton, I just like the way Everton are playing. They're finding a way to play and get results. And they've got some great players on the bench as well. You look at Josh King, who signed. He only got 3 minutes last game. I just feel that Everton, it's the Ancelotti feeling. It's their season.
Why not Villa? 6 points off 4th as we speak, 2 games in hand.
I think Villa are quite frustrating sometimes, where they'll win a great game, and then the next game you expect them to win, and then they'll go and draw. Like tonight, for instance, they're probably expected to beat Sheffield United, but it wouldn't surprise you if Sheffield United fight for a draw. They've got some tough games coming up. Wolves will be a tough game on the weekend. And I think Villa aren't really seeing themselves as going for top 4. It's like, can we get into Europe? If we get into 6th, it's been a great season. Yeah. So I think maybe next season maybe Villa can improve their squad, can go for top 4.
Especially after what happened last season as well. How do you see it, Mark? It's some race, isn't it? It's exciting. What do you feel are the factors that could make a difference, whether it be injuries, whether it be teams playing in Europe?
Well, I think definitely the injuries, because Leicester, I think ordinarily you would say they've got a big enough advantage, but then, Justin's out, Barnes is out, Maddison's been injured, Vardy doesn't look like he's come back in 100%, and all of a sudden, Johnny Evans went off as well the other way. I'm looking at that squad thinking it's stretched, and the mental sort of blow of not having got over the line last year when they had such an advantage, does that become sort of a factor? They've got a lot of hard games coming up as well. I'm sort of more optimistic than Gabby that there's more teams in this race, actually. I think you could go down to Villa, whether Villa have got that mentality of, we're going to go away from home and win 3-4 games on the spin. That would be the question mark.
That's the difference, isn't it? It's like Villa aren't expected to get into there. Other teams that need to get into there, they might be playing an away game, and you know what? We're flying forward in the last 5 minutes because we need to win this game to get in the top 4. I don't think Villa are going to have that mindset in certain games. They might be like, you know what? We might be drawing, a point's okay. Whereas the Chelsea, the Liverpool, they have to get into the top 4. Because they've been getting in there that much, they'll be flying forward in games to get in there. And I do agree, maybe Arsenal as well, they're going a little run. They're playing well at the moment. They battered Leicester, but I just think when I look at Leicester and Everton, I just feel like they've got enough in there to get it.
I'm going to go for the big teams. Actually, I'm going to go United, Chelsea, and Liverpool. Partly for what you were saying about teams really sort of needing it over these last 10 matches and. I'm a bit concerned for Leicester, just whether they've got enough in their squad.
I think as well, I'm saying Everton because I've had a little cheeky bet with Stephen Warnock. I've had Everton to finish high Liverpool, just to wind him up a little bit. So, come on, Everton.
I've actually gone the same as you as well, and in that order, United, Chelsea and Liverpool. But I'd love to see West Ham in there, doing fantastically well at the moment, currently sit 4th. Be surprised, a bit like Villa as well. Just Europe would be amazing.
Are they the odds on? Are they the better odds for the top 4? I mean, favourites, sorry.
Who's that, sorry?
Man United.
Yeah, so
Chelsea, Liverpool,
it's Leicester, Manchester United, and then I think it's quite close between Chelsea and Liverpool for that full
It changes
spot.
every week though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
Just the way I said it, like. The Ancelotti feeling for me, I feel like, he finally said, hasn't he, that like it would be amazing to get top 4. He's not said it.
No, you've already told us now why you're doing it. And that's because of your bet with Stephen Warnock. Let's move on. And look, VAR decisions. We don't want to keep on talking about VAR. That's not the intention week in, week out. But it was a big week, wasn't it? You have to say. Let's start by referees are being swayed by outside influences, according to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And Manchester United had a 100% nailed-on penalty against Chelsea. What do you think?
I agree with the first part that when Jurgen Klopp said it, didn't he? And I think Lampard said it. And referees are normal. They're going to hear that and think, you know what, they've allowed a lot of penalties.
Are
like,
they?
If it's 50-50,
they really?
I think if it's 50-50, they might be like, you know what, I'm not going to give it because Man United always get penalties. You're going to hear it, aren't you? It's all around social media. Everyone was talking about it. But the Greenwood one, for me, it's not a penalty. If I was Hudson-Odoi and that was a penalty, I don't know what I'd do to the VAR screen on the side because both of them were sort of handballed at the same time. And when you look at the replays, it changes every time we look at it. Sometimes it looks like Hudson-Odoi hit it first. Next one looks like Greenwood hit his arm first. And if you're giving them as penalties, then there's going to be 10 penalties a game.
Stuart Atwell was pretty adamant. He was almost been told to go over there, but he kind of knew what he wanted to decision to make, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought it was the right decision in the end because I stick with the on-field decision unless you really are certain. And I think there was enough doubt as to whether it was a subjective call, I think, as to who handled it first, and go with the official on that occasion. I think VAR is supposed to be there for making when there's big errors. That's what I just want to step in.
I'm scared as well. I'm scared if that was given because we're going into a Euros now. Someone could lose the Euros on a decision like that. I imagine the anger in like the crowd watching.
I think that would be given actually in the Euros. I think in sort of watching that in sort of in Italy Champions League.
I do feel sorry for like defenders now because if I'm a defender now in the box, my arm's going to be behind my back,
and you can't defend. That's not proper defending.
I'm not gonna, you're not going to want to. Someone's going to get past you because you know what? Let him get past me. Don't handball it. It's the whole game's going to change the defending.
Totally. I hate defenders having their arms behind their back, but I completely understand why they've got it. Let's move on then, talking about big mistakes. I don't want to use the word debacle, but Lee Mason. I mean, Chris Sutton has said it's time to mic up, mic up officials so we can follow exactly what's going on. Micah Richards disagreed. Keith Hackett, former referee and referee chief, has said that Lee Mason should retire.
Yeah, I think that's harsh. I think what I agree with is that maybe the Monday after the weekend games, a referee who's made maybe a mistake comes out, like managers do, maybe speaks to someone and say, you know what, I got it wrong. I'm human. Lee Mason got it wrong. Everyone loses concentration in games. Players lose concentration.
Two penalties were missed in that game.
Exactly. So the referees. He's probably thinking, he's relaxed. Maybe it's not the Man United versus Man City game he'd want to be at. He's just relaxed, and then he's blew the whistle and he's thought, oh damn it, I've got to blow it again, because he's probably told Sam Johnston that you've got until you're ready. Does that make sense? So he just made a mistake, and then he's gone to VAR, and they're probably saying in his ear, mate, oh, you messed up here, we can't help you.
You're on your own.
What it's like, you're on your own here, you've messed up. Like, it could go both ways. So you understand the frustration from Brighton, but then if it was given, it will be outrage from West Brom. So it's just, for me, a referee making a big mistake, and referees should be punished in the way of, you know what, the next game he does, maybe it's a League One game.
Yeah.
That's how it should work,
Players do get dropped,
exactly.
and referees
that's
get
all
dropped,
it is.
but not to lose his career. No. What's in terms of going forward, we know it was a big mistake, but in terms of going forward, and the Chris Sutton brought up that about mics. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the way that players give abuse to referees, I mean, you wouldn't be able to...
Would that not stop it, though, within a couple of games?
I mean, you've been players, I don't think it would.
It's not fair, though. You know what it's like with referees. A player swears at the ref, they'll swear at him back. If the ref's mic'd up, then the player should be
I'm not
mic'd
sure
up.
they do anymore, Gabby. That's back in our day.
I've seen some of them still, like... Do you know what I mean? Give it a bit back.
They
want everything they say to be on a mic. It'd be like you can't.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have no privacy, or does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's unfair. I think it would be unfair unless you mic'd up everybody.
Players,
I think it would. I mean,
the players are swearing at the refs like that.
I do think.
No, but if players are swearing, you book them or you send them off.
But they're not. I know, but some of these refs have been referees for like 15, 20 years. They're used to the likes of Rooney, who used to swear at every referee every game. Do you know what I mean? I've been to games at Villa Park, and I've this season when it's been no fans. Honestly, every player swearing at the ref, every coaching member swearing at the ref. It's like it's normal. So to mic up a ref, and then he's just taking all this abuse of players, and he's got to just say, okay, no problem, because he knows that if he swears, it's going to be used against him. So I don't think it's fair. So everyone gets mic'd up or no one.
And I'm not convinced that them coming out after a game and explaining their decision will satisfy people, to be honest, because I mean I was listening to Talk Sport.
Just couldn't get up in play. Sorry, Jurgen. Sorry, Jurgen. Just couldn't get there.
Yeah.
There'd be a witch hunt, wouldn't there?
I was listening to Talk Sport on Saturday evening when they were discussing this, and they actually had the Premier League statement on why the goal wasn't allowed. And they didn't agree with it, and they were still saying the referee should come out and explain it. But it was explained. Yeah. He just didn't agree with the explanation, and I'm not sure that will actually improve matters.
But it's just normal, isn't it? A free kick that's in that area, it's like you normally have to wait for the whistle.
Yeah.
And he did, and he scored. That's the problem. Lee Mason's made a mistake. He should have looked at Sam Johnston, wait till he's ready, then blow the whistle. It's different if it's on the halfway line. You play a quick one. It's play on, isn't it?
Yeah, but if he's told the wall, wait for my whistle,
exactly.
Go back 10 yards, then he has to wait for the whistle. Yeah. But he blew the whistle. Anyway, look, we could carry on talking for hours about this. Let's move on. Just one more thing on the week's big talking points. Massive thing that happened with one of the biggest clubs in the world, Barçagate.
Yes.
Just explain.
Yeah, so Barcelona's former president, Bartomeu, was arrested on Monday along with a number of senior officials at Barcelona, some still in sort of situ, others that have left the club. This all goes back to Barçagate, as you mentioned. So Barcelona paid money for a digital company to enhance their digital strategy, was one explanation for it. Another one was that basically they produced all these bots on social media to say nice things about the current president, or the president as he was then, and actually deflect blame away from him on sort of club affairs onto the players, which in itself is not illegal. I mean, you could say it's bad practice, but it's not illegal. But there is now, there is an investigation as to whether it was a misuse of club funds. But the latest sorry episode in Barcelona's sort of recent history, and they need to get the presidency sorted out. The voting starts on Sunday, so they need to get that sorted. They need to get a manager that can manage them better than Ronald Koeman. They need to sort out Lionel Messi's future. They need to sort their finances out. So
apart from all that,
apart from that, all good.
Digital strategy. I think they just need to get Gabby on. The way he is with social media,
maybe 10 times worse. It.
Some job for the winner there. Look, let's move on to our Q&A section, shall we? Where we get a £25 voucher, Amazon voucher, for the person whose question's read out. We've got 2 people here. You ready?
Yeah.
Good question, this one. Who is the better player in their prime? Jack Grealish or Ashley Young? This is from Lewis Murphy.
Ooh. Jack Grealish. For me, because Ashley Young was outstanding. I think Ashley Young's prime was probably when he was at Aston Villa the last season before he left. And just the way he got the ball on the wing and ran past people and got crosses in. But what I've seen Jack doing over the last 2 seasons has been like a different world. You know, he's getting the ball and just taking on 4, 5, 6 players. He's got that acceleration. So for me, Jack, but not by a lot.
Chris Wilder said he's the best player in England right now. Do you agree?
English player or just any player?
The quote was in England.
Yeah. So I think he's up there. I think the way he's been playing this season and the things that he does with the ball, even the way he played for England against Belgium, he's doing flicks against Belgium in a big game.
Still playing with his mates in
exactly. So he's just having a bit of fun. So for me, I wouldn't argue with end quotes, no, because what he's done in the last 2 seasons has been outstanding. But people will say De Bruyne, Salah, Kane, Fernandes. But I feel like what Jack can do, he's got more to his game in the way he can take players on. So he's more exciting to watch. That's why he probably gets the nod against Fernandes.
He's definitely up there with the big boys anyway. Yeah. And is there a player you formed a great partnership with in your career? That's from Ed King.
Ashley Young. I used to love playing with Ashley Young because he'd stay on the left-hand side, he received the ball off maybe Gareth Barry, cut inside, one touch, and he just play it because he knew where I was already going. It's similar to like Jack Grealish and Watkins now. When Jack gets it, Watkins is already running. You know, he's already like on his way to run into the channels. And I used to get so many assists off Ashley for that because he always knew when to play it. Then maybe if he wasn't on for me to get a shot off, I'd cut you back to him on the edge of the box, he'd get a shot off. But we always had that partnership of assisting each other, and yeah, it was a great time.
Okay, fantastic player, fantastic career, Ashley Young, there's no doubt about it. Okay, we're ready for game previews. First one up, it's Thursday evening, some game this. Liverpool against Chelsea. And after 4 straight defeats, Liverpool beat Sheffield United. You've already alluded to it a bit, but what did you make of their performance against United?
I thought first half they were looked like a nervous team. They couldn't really get enough players forward. Sheffield United played 3 centre-backs. Liverpool found it hard. But second half they come out like they've been told by Jurgen Klopp, come on, we need to win this. And they were outstanding second half, and they could have won by more goals.
What did you make of Chelsea against United? A bit disappointing, wasn't it?
It was. It's some of the problems that Frank Lampard has had, where when he sort of shut the sort of Chelsea defence up and made that better, he couldn't get the balance right in the attacking area of the pitch. And I think that Tuchel is having exactly the same issues. He definitely has, really made sure that they're tight defensively. I think it's like 2 goals conceded in 7 Premier League games. So he has got that side of the game working well. It's just now, can they add the bit in the final third?
Don't you think it's boring though watching Chelsea? I'm so bored watching Chelsea. Like I don't watch them anymore. I watched the Chelsea United game and I was like, it was bound to happen.
Is that down to United? Mum, we won't talk about United
now.
But
I think Chelsea though, when I watched them recently, it's a lot of like, all right, get into wide position and crosses in. But you watch Manchester City, it's this lovely play. Like Brighton, I love watching Brighton. They play passing together in the number 10 roles. But Chelsea, for me, it's so boring to watch.
I mean, this could be a big statement for either side as well, couldn't it? I mean, Liverpool need to show they're on the way back, and Tuchel has done well, but against teams that really they should be beating. They need to make a statement against one of the big boys, don't they? Who at the moment is in a bad way.
It just depends how Chelsea look at the game. They're going to look at it as Liverpool, they've been in such bad form, we're going to go for it, or is it going to play so defensive? Will it end up being the same game as Man United?
What would you do if you were Tuchel?
I think I'll go for it. I look at Liverpool centre-backs at the moment and I'd love to play against them. They look nervous, they look like frightened of anyone running in behind. When Bert come on for Sheffield United, I mean, if he could finish, he would have got probably a hat-trick because he caused them many problems running in behind. So I'd play Werner, I'd play, your quick attacking players, Pulisic on Trent Arnold, and I'd go for it. But it's a massive game for Liverpool. I think nothing but a win they need.
A massive game for both, I think. Liverpool 6th, playing at Anfield, Chelsea are 5th. Neither of your predictions to get in the
my
top
triple
4.
captain, so I need him to score. We didn't score last game.
Betfred,
murdering it.
What's your Betfred selection for this one then?
I'm going to go as a 1-0 win for Liverpool and a Salah goal.
Okay.
I think it's going to be really tight. It wouldn't surprise me if yet another of these big 6 clashes ended in a draw. And I think they'd both be relatively happy, get the point, and then beat the sort of bottom teams that they've got coming up.
Yeah, Chelsea were disappointing against United, but I just can't see Liverpool winning this. I think Chelsea are not easy to break down. Draw or away win. I think the bet here is a low score draw. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to go for. Okay, game preview 2 on Saturday is Burnley against Arsenal. And Gabby, you have to say, that was a fantastic Arsenal performance at Leicester, wasn't it? Especially going a goal down.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I had Vardy in my team as well. He did do the I was like, Vardy's guaranteed to score against David Luiz, but they were outstanding defensively, Arsenal, and going forward, they were frightening. I think Leicester probably thought to themselves, hang on a second, this isn't the Arsenal we expected to turn up, and they battered them really. So it just depends if Arsenal can continue that sort of form. What I liked is that they've done it without Aubameyang, they've done it without Saka, so it shows their squad starting to look better.
There's a lot of pressure on Arteta going into that game, wasn't there? I mean, a lot of Arsenal fans thinking, well, you've given up top 4, and whether you're going to get there or not, you can't give up. Looking at the team sheet, but he was proved right.
He was proved right, and I also think that he's absolutely spot on. I mean, they've got more chance of winning the Europa League than what they have finishing in the top 4, and you don't want to throw games necessarily and sort of give up on them. But the Europa League is now their best pathway into the Champions League. But these kind of backup players, Lacazette, I mean, he cost 40 million or whatever.
That's what I was going to say. It's not as if he's playing like the under-23s.
No.
He's playing
Pepe
players,
and Willian, who have been
Lacazette,
criticised, but did really well, didn't they? Burnley got hammered at Spurs. Is that because Spurs were so good, or was that because Burnley were so bad?
I thought Burnley were terrible in that game. I mean, what Burnley do is the basics well, and then they hope that the other team has an off day, and that's how they kind of pick up their points. But I mean, the first sort of all 3 goals in the first half felt very avoidable from their point of view. I don't know if it's just a lack of energy for them, or I mean, they were outplayed by West Brom, who had 10 men, the game before. So I think that these are alarming times. Usually, when we say this about Burnley, they get a result from somewhere. It's what Dyche has done throughout his sort of time and kept them in the league. But I mean, if they play like they did against Spurs, they are still in this.
Do you think they're in trouble then still?
I think they'll stay up because they've got Sean Dyche, and you're back into to get against Aston Villa. They were outplayed for parts of that, and they ended up winning it. And they just find ways. And I suppose once Wood and Barnes are back, that does give them a little bit more up front. I mean, Vidra and Rodriguez not the same. I like Rodriguez, but I think he's had a lot of injuries, and Vidra's maybe just not. He's not as big a threat as he is those other 2. So they lacked a bit of physical presence, and it's a big part of Burnley.
I think he probably look back as well and think maybe his tactics were wrong. It's probably not the game to play 2 strikers. No. It was a game maybe to play an extra midfielder in there, maybe Stevens in there, and double up on the likes of Son and
not play
Kane,
so high as well.
And not so high when it's so
press,
quick.
Yeah.
Like, it was strange tactics, but Burnley will be fine.
Betfred selection for this one then?
I've called it a low-scoring game. I feel like Burnley will be back to their defensive tactics, and at home, Burnley are very, very tough to score past at home. So I'm going to go maybe a 2-1 win for Arsenal.
2-1 win for Arsenal.
Yeah, I think Arsenal will win. And Burnley have got a game in midweek, and Arsenal have got the free midweek. I think that is important at this stage of the season, and for a team like Burnley having to play Sunday, Wednesday, and then Saturday in an early kick-off, I don't think it's good for them at all.
Yeah, I do wonder if Chris Wood will start this one. I think they'll knock the ball forward. They'll try to put Arsenal under pressure. I can see Arsenal conceding, but I think Arsenal will win as well.
They've done it against Villa. Villa outplayed them, but they've done what they do. Get the ball to McNeil, try and get an overlap, get the crosses in, and they score them. I think there's 1 or 2 headers against Aston Villa. That's what they do, and they'll cause Arsenal problems.
But we've all gone for an Arsenal win there, haven't we? OK, game preview 3. Villa, Wolves. Sheffield United tonight, that's Wednesday night.
Yeah.
When's Super Jack back? How much do they miss him, do you feel?
I think he's out for a while still. I'm not sure when he's out.
You have to check the player's fantasy football team for when he's coming back.
I didn't get the heads up, me. He was in my team. I was like, everyone else knew but me. I didn't win my team.
The unofficial Villa spokesman. That
I didn't have any news, but no, you know, what I think is important is that, like, how many times have you been injured in your career? I've been injured loads. You've got to be able to not just rely on one player. You can't be a one-man team. We've seen Spurs not be able to play without Kane, Manchester United without Fernandes. Villa can't just be like, okay, Grealish is out for maybe 3-4 games. Okay, we can't win them games.
Are they?
Someone else has got to stay up. No, I don't think they are. I think the last game against Leeds, El Ghazi stood up for me. He was taking shots. He looked aggressive. He looked like he wanted to score. And he will step up. Traore will step up. Watkins will step up. Just need Barkley to step up now. He's the one for me that I want to see more of. You know, everyone was talking about Barkley. He's played so many games for England. I want to see that Barkley back. The Barkley was Everton. So for me, I think Jack will be a big miss. But Villa got more than enough in that squad to try and get a result against Wolves.
Have they missed Matty Cash as well? He's done well, hasn't he?
Yeah, they've missed him, yeah. But Al Mohammadi, I mean, there's some funny pictures on Twitter of and Instagram of Rafinha. He's actually stood against the billboards. I mean, sitting down against the billboards, and someone's put up like, that's what happens when you can't get past Al Mohammadi. But he was outstanding, you know. He's that perfect pro who will come in and do an amazing job. And I think that's why Villa let Gilbert go, because I know Al Mohammadi can step in when needed and put in a good performance.
Just very quickly as well, you've caused a real rivalry between Villa and Leeds, haven't you? Just explain.
Yeah, I think that you know, the players they agree that, you know, after what I said about Leeds earlier on in the season, the reaction when Leeds beat us, you know, I was getting stick from Leeds players on social media. So I think, you know, it's turned into like a proper derby now. So I think that'll continue, and I'm sure the team and manager are buzzing that Villa beat them.
That's unlike you to cause any problems.
No, I'm doing it again though.
Honestly.
What's good this time? I didn't say nothing until after the game. I learnt my lesson.
And then you hammered Danny Mills. Mark, I mean, Wolves lost to City Tuesday night. No disgrace in that. Where are they right now? Still missing key players, but then there's players like Pedro Neto who's playing exceptionally well. Where do you feel Nuno is?
I feel they're just playing out the season, really. You know, they're one of the few teams who's got nothing to play for. They're 12th in the league. There's no fans in the stadium. I mean, probably going to be a sort of dispiriting end. And I'm not saying they'll completely fall, but you know, there's not much for them to sort of raise themselves. So that means that Nuno's got quite a big job on his hands to kind of get them going every game. First half, they were terrible against Man City. Second half, when they pulled it back to 1-1, they actually had chances, and you felt like they might be able to get another win at the Etihad. And I felt 4-1 was a bit harsh on them in the end. So if they play with the attitude that they did in the second half, you know, that's how Wolves have got to play. You can be defensive, but you've got to be aggressive in the final third. Even without Jimenez, they've still got Neto, they've still got Adama Traore, they've still got players that can hurt opponents. But I don't know, you feel like they're going through the motions at times. I mean, against Newcastle, again, first half, William Jose just wasn't, you know, he's just not Raul Jimenez, is he? That's the problem.
I think a team as well who's fighting relegation at the last few games, they're not going to want a favour of Wolves to beat a team. I feel like you're right. Sometimes I've been in that situation. You're looking at like how many games left. You know, you're not playing for nothing. You're not going to get relegated.
Those mid-table teams don't really care,
so I've been in that situation. You're like, oh, how many games are left? Whereas I want to get on that flight to Dubai.
Get your feet on the sand.
So them relegation teams, for instance, if Fulham or Brighton need Wolves to beat, you know, West Brom or something, I wouldn't put your money on it.
Yeah, don't rely on Wolves if you need a favour at the moment. Betfred's selection for this one then?
I think Wolves battered Villa earlier on in the season, and Villa got a last-minute penalty and won. I think Wolves will want revenge. It's a derby. No Jack. I'm going to go a 1-1 draw.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm going to go over 2.5 goals. 7 of Villa's 11 home games have had at least 3 goals. So no Grealish probably, but I still expect there to be fun at both ends.
With the bust at Wolves Park.
Yeah. No, I feel like they've, where they've got that sort of nothing massive to play for, that might just loosen them up a little bit.
Yeah, I still don't think that they score that many, though, to be honest with you. So I think this will actually be, and because Jack's not around as well, I actually think it'll be a low-scoring game, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to say Villa were lucky against Leeds, but I think they might nick this one 1-0 as well.
And don't forget, Villa changed their tactics to Traore against at Molineux. It was like double up on Traore, stop him. So I don't think Villa will be as attacking. I think Dean Smith's got no shame in changing his tactics, like against Leeds. If he finds a way that he can get a result, that's what it's about now, isn't it? It's not going full throttle at teams.
Stop Traore, just get the anti-baby oil so you can grab onto his arms. Look, massive game in game preview 4 on Sunday. It's City versus United. City beat Wolves last night. Man, it's 21 straight victories in all competitions. They're unbeaten in 28 matches. And it's just incredible now. I'm almost asking this on a weekly basis. Simple question, how do you beat them?
I haven't got a clue. I feel like the way they're playing for me, and I feel like the problem is you can't even like try and prepare for them because you don't know what team they're going to play. Could it be Mahrez or is it going to be Foden? Is it Sterling or is it Torres? Jesus, Aguero, is De Bruyne going to play or is Gundogan going to play? You can't even like, try and like find weaknesses in their side. You press too high, you're going to leave like Sterling 1v1. I mean, I'd hate to play
their
against a
Resi
team.
side would probably still finish second.
Yeah,
in this league this year,
100%.
wouldn't it?
That's the problem, and I think if any team's going to get a result against them, I think it could be Manchester United. It's a derby. They've done quite well against them over the last couple of years, but I just think they've got too much. And when you've got this record of winning so many games in a row, you're not gonna want Manchester United to stop you.
No, when you're on that roll, just game to game. I mean, against West Ham, they made 7 changes. Aguero came back, and yet the 2 centre-backs scored as well. They got goals coming from everywhere, and yet Aguero is still yet to get fit.
I mean, Aguero was well off it, wasn't he? I mean, he you could tell that he was. He needs a big run of games, I think, before we see the proper Aguero. I think in terms of how you beat them, there's 2 ways. One, and Manchester United are quite good at one of them, which is to defend in numbers and then hit on the break with the pace up front and hope to have a bit of an off day. I think the other way is to try to be aggressive against them, and you can leave yourself 1v1 against Sterling, but I just feel like that's sitting there and waiting for them to just pass it around you. It hasn't worked for the last 20 odd games. I think you do have to sort of force yourself, and when West Ham did, and they didn't do it often, when they were brave on the ball and tried to play through the press, it did work for them, but it's easier said than done, understandably.
Yeah, I mean, look, United have Palace this evening as we speak, but there are 15 points gap between City. I think we realise that Stamford Bridge, they're not going for the title, are they? They're just trying to keep that gap between the rest of them. Do you agree with Roy Keane that they're Manchester United, they should just be trying to win whatever? And how do they sort of approach this game? Because it seems against the so-called Big Six, after getting stung by Spurs, they're literally just sitting back and saying, if it's 0-0, fine, but we're not going to concede.
I think a lot of teams are getting away with murder really that there's no fans, because Manchester United fans wouldn't be accepting, okay, we'll just play for the draw, we're not really going for it. They're used to years of bang at it. Every Manchester United team I played against are going for the win last minute with 3 strikers up front. It's all of them are on to try and get the win. So I agree with Roy Keane.
I agree with you there, but also is this a different United? So
it's a different United, and
way.
I understand that because Martial's been poor, he got dropped, Cavani's injured. Have they got the options to bring loads of strikers on? But just want to maybe see a bit more from them. Maybe the managers, when they speak after the game, Solskjaer doesn't really sound like he's laughing a lot, isn't he? After like a draw, and you go back to Alex Ferguson, he wouldn't be happy unless they won the games. So I agree with Roy Keane. Just want to see Manchester United go for it more and go for the win. Play against City, go for them. What have we got to lose?
Do you think they will?
No. but I think maybe Solskjaer's thinking, if I can get second, it's a great season. Liverpool champions, they're 9 points behind Manchester United, maybe more. So you've got Chelsea below them. Maybe they're thinking, you know what, Man City are just here. Yeah. And like the rest of us are here. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
Best of the rest, no doubt about that. Do you think they believe they can beat City?
Well, they have done in the past. I mean, Solskjaer's sort of tactics have given City, not this City side necessarily, but they have given sort of in previous years, they've given them problems. And even sort of going back before that, you remember City was supposed to win the title against Manchester United. They were 2-0 up, and then Pogba turned it on and stopped them from winning the league there. So they're definitely sort of more competitive in this game. I think the derby nature of it means that it feels a bit closer anyway. And the 2 games they've had so far this season, the league game was horrendous, wasn't it? That 0-0. City deserved to win the League Cup game, won that one fair and square. But I think this is going to be another just really tight game.
Yeah, I agree. Betfred selection for this one?
I'm going to go 2-1 to Manchester City. I think they've got enough. They've got enough players to bring on as well to get a couple of goals. So Mahrez has been frightening as well recently. So yeah, I'm going to go for Manchester City 2-1.
You mentioned it last week, Scott. Man City can't win every game from now until the end of the season. I agree that they'll slip up somewhere. It might be in this game. Draw. United
struggle against the so-called big boys. There's no bigger than City right now. I'm with you. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but City will
I'm surprised if it's like local lad Foden gets the winner. Do you know, he's been in good form, hasn't he?
City for me, but under 2.5 goals. Okay, Spurs against Crystal Palace. Mark, Gareth Bale, discuss.
Oh, it was good to see him back.
Needed game time or needed time?
I think he needs a bit of an attitude change as well. I mean, I think Mourinho gets a kicking off of most people, and he's kind of arrogant enough to sort of, comes out and says it, so he's got to take it back. But I mean, I felt like Mourinho gave Bale quite a few opportunities actually, and he wasn't taking them. I mean, you go back to that game against Brighton, he never got out of a jog in the whole time he was on the pitch. So, I mean, how often you can't keep on playing him, can you, if he's not doing that? But the attitude, he didn't travel for that game against Everton in the FA Cup. There was a bit of a ding dong in the media about whether he was fit or not. Since then, he's come back and he's playing. He's not the Gareth Bale that left Tottenham, but that Gareth Bale was worth 100 million and he's never returning. This Gareth Bale is still good enough to make a big impact for Tottenham, and he's done it in the Europa League a couple of times, but that was the best we've seen him in the Premier League.
How do you see it? Like, last couple of games he's been excellent. Great management from Jose Mourinho and getting him to the right level, not playing him as much, or mismanagement.
I think it's more like you said there, Gareth Bale. I mean, you pay maybe £300,000 a week of his wages. You shouldn't have to wait till March before you start getting performances. You want the performances from the start. So even if he does well from now to the end of the season, it'd still be a bit frustrating for Spurs fans who have not seen more of him. But we all knew what Gareth Bale was going to be able to do. You give him that time, like Burnley did, especially for his second goal. You give him that chance to have a touch inside. There's only one place that ball's going, but he's going to be able to do it against the better sides where he's got a lot more tracking back to do. It's okay against the Burnleys, and when you come on against West Ham, he didn't have to track back as much because they're sitting back. It's them games. Is Jose Mourinho going to trust him in them games? But we just hope that he can keep injury free. I've seen his face on a number of occasions as well. Look like he's feeling something. I just hope that he just keeps strong and try and get through some games.
Yeah, I think we all want to see a Gareth Bale in form, don't we? But what is a in-form Gareth Bale? If he can keep this up for the next 6 or 7 games, then fair enough. What do we say about Palace? I mean, playing United tonight, but they've needed a win and a draw from the last 2 games, haven't they?
I mean, they're a hard watch. I mean, even if you support Palace, you can't look forward to watching them play. They're a different team to some extent when Zaha's fit, and mentioned earlier when Villa haven't got Grealish, not quite the same. But I mean, against Brighton, complete fluke that they won the match. Against Fulham, again, I think what Gabby was saying there about fans not being inside the stadium, surely Palace would have had to have shown more ambition if Selhurst Park was full against Fulham, because they were really playing for a point, and you shouldn't be doing that at home to Fulham. But they wanted to keep Fulham at a safe distance. Roy Hodgson, ever the sort of pragmatist, and that's what he wants to do. But they're a really hard team to watch and to like and enjoy.
You can see why Zaha being stood outside.
Yeah, I mean,
he's dying to leave that much. You can't blame him.
Leave, yeah.
I feel sorry for Eze. I feel like Eze wants to be in a team where he can play a 1-2 with someone who's going to get it back in behind, or it's not the sort of team that's not going to get the best out of Eze. He needs to be in a better team to get the better out of him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're holding him back as well, I feel.
Yeah.
Palace.
Well, Zaha looks like he's getting fit anyway, so maybe the 2 of them can play little 1-2s between themselves.
Just them 2.
Betfred selection here then.
I mean, I've been frustrated because my mates have got Kane as captain, and I'm devastated. I didn't even think about putting him in. I don't know why, but he's 3 games he's going to have after the last game, and the next 2, Fulham and Crystal Palace, guarantee goals for Kane. So I'm going to go Spurs to win maybe 3-4-0 against Palace. because Kane's shooting on sight now.
Yeah.
His last game, I couldn't believe how many shots he was taking.
Yeah.
It was like one-man Wembley. It was just shooting from anywhere. It was like Ollie goals.
Do you remember that game, one-man Wembley?
It was like Ollie to catch Salah. I'm shooting from anywhere. Son was throwing his arms up. Everyone was throwing their arms up. Because he's captain, vice-captain, he's the main man. He can get away with it, but I just feel like Palace are they're gonna crumble.
So which one, 3 or 4?
I'm going to go 4-0.
4-0.
Spurs.
I'm going for a home win to 0, but I'm not sure it's going to be quite 4. But
The last Crystal Palace player to score against Tottenham in the Premier League at White Hart Lane.
Dave Swindlehurst.
Well, it was nearly that era. Andy Johnson. So I mean, it was 2000, mid 2000. So Spurs to win to 0 would be one option. Also, like Spurs to win and under 3.5 goals, just a comfortable win.
I think we've all agreed on that one. Okay, fantasy football picks this weekend. Our player who we think is going to star. Who have you gone for?
Harry Kane. Yeah, 100%. He's coming in straight away. After these Thursday games done, he's coming in for the weekend, Kane, because I just feel that Palace, you've seen what Liverpool done to them. You know, sometimes they can capitulate, and I feel like Spurs are going to be on one to score goals, and Kane takes penalties as well. So I'm going to go for Kane.
Okay, Mark?
A man that's I've just completely rejuvenated, Jesse Lingard, playing really advanced for West Ham. They've got Leeds who do give you a chance, particularly sort of running in behind. And Antonio has scored in the last couple of matches, but he doesn't look 100% fit to me. And I think Lingard is taking on a lot of the responsibility there in the attacking third. So yeah, Lingard.
Yeah, I feel like I'm being super critical with him, but I still want 6 to 8 to 10 games of that type of level. But he's certainly hit the ground running at West Ham. Bukayo Saka for me. After the Benfica game, Mikel Arteta said he's tired. If he's that good when he's tired, then that good must he be. Arsenal's best player this season. So for me, coming back in, rested against Leicester, I think he'd be ready to give Burnley massive headaches, probably score and assist as well. Yeah. Team treble. Now, was it last week or the week before that we had a 16 to 1 that came in? This one is 14 to 1 this week, so we'll have to wait and see. Who have you gone for? What team do you think is going to win this weekend?
What team's guaranteed to win for me? Spurs, for me, guaranteed win.
I think you've given enough reasons why, and Harry Kane to fill his boots as well.
Son hasn't been scoring as much as well, so he's going to be a bit more gun for goals as well. Bale will probably play as well. I think there's guaranteed goals there. Yeah.
I'm going to go for Brighton to beat Leicester. If you have a look at Leicester's fixture schedule, this game against Brighton will be their 4th match in 10 days. Brighton have had 1 game in that time. Yeah. I mean, how they've been not winning and losing matches, I'll never know.
They're due a big win, Brighton. I feel like their finishing has not been great, but sooner or later they're going to start going in. Mope will start put Welbeck. They'll start taking the chances, and I agree with you. I think Leicester will get a good beating.
I think Graham Potter's doing a fantastic job. All he can do is help create chances. He can't put the ball in the back of the net, and for me, he's going right to the don't know about right to the very top.
A proper finisher in that team, and they've clocked it.
Definitely,
that's all they're missing out there.
I'm going for Sheffield United to beat Southampton. I mean, I still think.
I was going to say Villa there.
No, not the one tonight. I still think that Chrissy Wilder's side has got a couple of wins left in him before they do go down. He's pretty much realistic on that. And Southampton are in worse form than they are right now. So 14 to 1. We'll see whether that comes in or not.
For our 3 teams?
For our treble.
Is it really?
Yeah.
But Sheffield United, I think you're right about Sheffield United, because they've got that manager who's going to, like, it doesn't matter if they're down by 5 games to go. They'll still be out there flying around in them last 5 games because they've got that sort of manager. Yeah. He'll be saying to them, like, you're playing for your future next season.
We need to say that ahead of this week, because this is what we want
it
in. Okay, look, I mean, change of mood before we go, actually. I mean, we've got to talk about the loss of 2 proper football people. Liverpool legend Ian St John, who unfortunately died aged 82, and Glenn Roeder, tragically, who passed away after a long battle with a brain tumour, just 65. I mean, in terms of Ian St John, I grew up, I think I'm a little bit older than you, or a lot older than you. Yeah. I grew up watching St Greavesy, and it's timeless. Even watching some little bits now, it's just so funny, so brilliant, and one of the best football shows ever. And for Ian St John to have the fantastic career he had, and then go on to be a fantastic broadcaster. I mean, he's left a real mark, hasn't he, in TV as well as football.
Yeah, I mean, obviously way too young to have watched him play, but the St Greavesy just was... it feels like one of my first memories, really, of being at just watching football, and that Saturday sort of show was brilliant. Just absolutely fantastic. 2 legends of the game, sort of good on the pitch and off it.
Yeah, brilliant. Glenn, I'm incredibly sad about. I played under him at West Ham. I mean, a fantastic coach, a brilliant man who treated you with honesty and integrity, even if he didn't have you in the side. You know, he'd always not just be cheerful, but he'd look you in the eyes and give you the reasons why. And just as a person, I think it's an absolute tragic. So, I mean, I don't know, Gabby, if you want to say anything about it.
No, just to hear about it was, you know, you don't want to hear it, do you? Whenever you see social media nowadays, you see a picture of someone, your heart in your mouth, you're thinking that something bad's happened. So, terrible news, and many people that have played under him have said he was an amazing manager, and such a heartbreaking way to go as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think as well with Glenn Roeder, he really loved horse racing as well. So met him quite a few times sort of at the races, was always generous with his time, and sort of you'd bore him sort of talking about football and he wouldn't tell you to shut up and stuff like that. And I saw him, it was a while ago now, I think it was at Colchester. And I didn't realise he'd been ill, and it was quite a shock when you see somebody that's ill that you wasn't expecting to be ill. But again, you know, he was a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, tragic, and our thoughts go to the families of both. Okay, that's it for this week's Different League show. We'll be back next week looking to see if our team treble came in or not, and looking to try and find another one as well. Remember, on behalf of Betfred and also the Racing Post, if you do gamble, please gamble responsibly.